Okay. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics, Non-Classics. This is episode number 1300 and Doubleshot number 1194. Wow, 1300. And we just last year hit 1200 last year. Yes. Now, I decided to do for this one, I wanted to do physical books, not digital for this 1300 episode, because that'd be kind of dumb to do. Basically, 1300 episodes and I'm doing a digital one? Yeah. But what books am I talking about? First, I'll talk about a group of people who actually has technically an appearance as the comics in one episode of Batman Brave and the Bold. Who are these guys? The Creature Commandos. Yep. This collects their entire feature of the original version of the Creature Commandos. From Weird War Tales. Issues 93, 97, 100, 102, 105, 108 to 112, 114 and 119, 121, and like one page 124. Yes, these members, basically human by the name of Lieutenant Matthew Swerve, a werewolf named Warren Giffen, that's this guy, that's Warren. We have Sergeant Vincent Venero, he's a vampire. That's him right there, the Count Dracula standing. And, of course, we have Frankenstein Monster, Private Elliot Lucky Taylor. And she's not on the cover, but they are actually joined a few issues in. I think it's with... Because there's actually one issue here. They actually... Let's see. Is it Don? No, it's not Dinosaur Convoy. It's, Okay, yeah. So, basically, let me look up basically what she looks like. Basically, we have a Medusa. Yes, a Medusa joins the group. Yes, and she joins partway into the run. Yep. Yeah, partway into the run. Now, if you're asking, why the heck would they have a new member partway into the run? The reason? Just to basically spice things up. Because I'm trying to find it here, because there's one of these issues that has her debut. Let's see if we can find it here. Yep. It's in issue 110 where it happens. Basically, we have Dr. Gorgon. Well, basically, she's a Medusa head. And there she is right here on the cover. With, there she is right there standing next to the vampire. You're probably curious, though. Who the heck is the robot? That's G.I. Robot, a.k.a. Jake the First. Yeah, he's a character who occasionally appeared in these stories. And we also had issue 100, which is actually the third appearance of the Creature Commandos. They actually had sort of a crossover with the War That Time Forgot. Yep, they crossed over with that particular thing. If you're curious, though, what the heck War Time Forgot is, it's simply put, basically, for what I remember reading about it, it's basically, I think I read like one or two issues of it. It's some Star Spangled War comics. Where these couple of army guys basically end up on an island full of dinosaurs during World War II. Sounds so awesome. Now, the thing Creature Commandos is, aside from the main members themselves, despite the fact this is set in the regular DC universe as a whole, aside from having G.I. Robot here, like, in case you're asking, like, does the Unknown Soldier, who's basically a common fiction World War II story, the original version of him, does he pop up here? Nope. Sergeant Rock? Nope. Okay, aside from G.I. Robot, War Time Forgot, was there any other characters popped up here? Did the Blackhawks? No, not yet. Now, initially put this thing started back in 1980. Not 60s or 70s, 1980. This had two primary writers for these issues. Well, one issue was written by Mike W. Burr. Mostly it was Jan Demonius and Robert Kaniger. Yeah, Robert Kaniger, the guy who created the original Suicide Squad. Not the more popular one where it's basically villains who work for the government. This is the original one where it was a World War II operation, which they reference in John Lewis on the Run. With that version, along with the 680 one, the more popular one, that was led by Rick Flag. Excuse me. Now, this I think was fantastic idea DC to put this in trade because my guess because their appearance on the show was probably what sparked this. Here's a more closer look at Dr. Medusa. Yes. Now, when you think of Medusa, you think of the Gorgon, who whenever she looks at a guy, she turns to stone. Not necessarily. Mostly put, the only thing monstrous about her is her hair. Where, here's kind of the thing, because here's the thing, the way this thing starts out is that we have Sergeant Sarai basically tries to debrief them about the Creature Commandos. And the Admiral is like, what is this, Hollywood? This is some backwards idea of basically Creature Commandos. And then, poof, here comes the Creature Commandos. And the vampire is like, this is not Hollywood, this is legit. And of course he's told, I think the Frankenstein basically is told to stop him. I only let this being called Creature Commandos. There's no mummy. I mean, we have a wolfman, we have a vampire, we have a Frankenstein monster. Okay, that's cool. And I'm glad that we have female member with basically Dr. Medusa, which I was really smart to do. I have female member, which actually was a pretty cool idea. Led by a human, that actually was a pretty smart move. Because I highly doubt anybody would want basically to trust a monster to lead them. So have a human being in charge. Apparently he was also subject to experimentation, but apparently he was super strong. Now the Creature Commandos, like basically, the way the feature ended, this was quite strange. They're shoved into a rocket aimed at Berlin, where it got off course, ended up in outer space, and disappeared for over 20 years, until it returned in the pages of Action Comics of all things, which later led to a brief mini-series for the Creature Commandos. Yep. Now, this is classic stuff when it comes to DC. This came out from the period of November 1980, and the final issue, was released in June 1983. That is pretty much when this was finished. Mm-hmm. And with the exception of like one story, a lot of the time these were basically standalone stories. With the exception of 109, 110, mostly was all standalone stories. 110 was basically a two-part called Rosary but Blood is Redder. Yep. Now, the interior artwork was mostly by a bunch of different artists. We have Bob Hall, Jerry Ordway, Don Springle, John Carlito, Pat Broderick, this kid was a nice person, Brett Carito. The cover artists are the late Joe Kubert and John Kasich. Mm-hmm. Yes, if you're interested in the Creature Commandos, basically what if basically the U.S. government had a team of monsters working for them and fighting the Nazis? To me, that sounds awesome. Purely fantastic. I give this book a 10 out of 10 because it's so freaking good that I recommend everybody check it out. It's just really good. And look at this book does have the entire feature of the original version. I only have 124, it's like one page. Like, oh, shove it to rocket, outer space. Yeah. They make the return of pages of Action Comics in issue 872. Yes, 870. I think it was around the mid-2000s when they came back. Which later sparked a miniseries with a completely different lineup. Yeah. What happened with this group? Well, after that, they just had new versions of the group. Mostly put, I think the reason why they brought him back is because Marvel had Nick Fury's Howling Commando series. Though they did recently have a Howling Commando series back in 2016, which got canceled 6 issues. Yeah. But the Creature Commandos are just pure fun. Alright, next up it is Wolverine. Oh, my Logan. Volume 6, Days of Anger. This collects issues 25 to 30 of Old Man Logan. Well, the ongoing series, mind you. The second volume for the series. We have a brand new writer, Ed Bronson. Good writer. Aside from this, the only books I reviewed that he's written. Let's see, there has been Iron Fist. That's one. I can't think of any other besides this one. The artwork is done by Mike Diodalo Jr., who actually is a really good artist. That's actually his cover art. You're probably thinking, yeah, and by the way, this guy did actually some recent artwork for Savage Avengers. I don't know what Ed Bronson is currently working on. I think he may work on DC right now. Mostly put, this story is Old Man Logan versus Mesmero. Yes, the character. This is a future version of Hulk. It's a future Hulk created by Peter David. Yep, Peter David, and they do have sort of a slight follow up to like a character who popped up in the original Old Man Logan story, where a kid has been transformed into a Hulk. Yes, there are a bunch of Hulks here. Now, if you're curious though, okay, if the future Hulk is here, where is the original Hulk? Dead. Yep, dead. And his killer pops up in here. Hawkeye. Okay, not a bad idea. Two people who have killed the Hulk. Of course, Wolverine, we actually mentioned at the end of the story, he killed the future Hulk already. Yeah, in Giant Side's Old-Man Logan #1. Back in 2009. This came out in 2017, mind you. Yes, I believe it was 2017. Yeah, this was the first of several story arcs that basically Ed Bronson worked on. Yeah, he pretty much worked on the remaining 26 issues of the series before it was replaced with Dim and Logan, which that's where he pretty much killed off the character. And as you can tell by the top logo, yes, this is part of the X-Men Regenesis stuff after Humans vs. X-Men. Though it's not very long per se. I think it's only just this one story arc, and that's basically it. This book is just really good, and it has nothing really much to do with him basically going back to Wastelands. They pretty much resolve that plot thread at the end of the Jeff Lemire run, though he kind of goes back to that toward the end of this run. Though this starts a series of stories that basically made the series for a lot of people very popular, because it's just so freaking good. Yeah, and by the way, Mesmer he actually gets away after this story. Yep, he gets away. And he actually is returning into the final story arc of this run. Which, not a bad idea. I mean, Ed Bronson will give away. Now, if you're curious though, like, here's kind of the thing you might be asking. Nick, how the heck did Mesmer get the present day? Well, you got to read, believe it or not, Spider-Man 2099, Volume 2, Issue 12. Yes, that was thanks to Peter Dave bringing the present day. I didn't do nothing with him for quite a while. This is probably, I think, his next appearance just after his 2099 appearance. After this, I think he popped up, in the final arc of this run. And recently, he's had a couple mini-series. Well, yes, he did pop up for Secret Wars, but I don't know if that was the same version. No, that book. It was Hulk Future Imperfect, which was a mini-series done by Peter Dave, which was really good. Was not really a big fan of the artwork, but it was the first time that Peter Dave worked with Greg Land, which probably let Marvel allow him to work with him on the Symbiotic Spider-Man miniseries. Which, that book basically was basically, like Mike Cole would say, vintage Greg Land. Though the first book for Symbiotic Spider-Man, that was so toned down. But if you think about this book, it's just so good and a great start to Ed Bronson's run in this book. Not very long per se, only 26 issues, which is pretty much the rest of the series. I'm going to give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Damn good book. Yep. Now I'm going to do another one where I'm going to talk about the Jane Foster Valkyrie series. This series is pretty short-lived. I'll discuss basically the reason for its cancellation, and pretty understandable, but why that number, I have no idea. But I'll discuss that in the next video. But yeah, 1,300 episodes. Wow. Who would have thunk this series basically started at my old house a little over 7 years ago. Yes, in October 2013 is when I did my very first episode for this series. And basically, originally I was reviewing trades, the individual issues. Eventually, I stopped doing individual issues after a few episodes because I decided to do that for a side thing. I haven't technically reviewed any. The only last individual issue I've ever reviewed I could think of was DC Rebirth. Yeah, that was the last one I reviewed. That was for, I think it was for like episode 250, I think it was. That was like basically about 4 years ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago I reviewed it. Yep. But that was the last one I could think of I ever reviewed that basically did that, where I discussed individual issue. Though I have this copy of the book, I just talk about my thoughts on this big issue, DC Rebirth. Mainly the reason why I did it because initially my friend TV wanted to do with Jules Chun. That's seriously the guy's name. He lives over in, I think, like the Philippines in a different time zone, and he wanted to do the review for a live show. At a time when I was going to church, I had told my friend TV I can't do it that time because I'm going to church. Like, could you pick a later time for us? Like, no, that's probably late time for him. So I am doing my own standalone review of it. Now, I haven't watched Joe Chun's basically videos in some time. The guy is basically good at reviewing stuff. And I might not always agree basically what he's done. It's been a long time since I basically watched his videos, so there. Now, my next physical one basically will be definitely two Marvel ones, and half this one basically two Marvel ones, basically talking about Jane Foster. Though basically these two books are no longer being published at all. Like, one was actually published about 4 years ago. The other one stopped publishing about 3 years ago. But I'll discuss that in episode 1302. Yep, so yeah, that's it for this review. Stay tuned for next review from their Comic Corner, okay? Just like video. Bye.